Imagine waking up to the quiet, rhythmic clicking of a tiny beak against your bedroom window pane, or feeling the feather-light brush of down against your earlobe as the morning sun cuts through the blinds. To the untrained eye, a budgie in a living room cage is just colorful decor, a fleeting flash of green and yellow bouncing between plastic perches. People look at them, drop some seeds in, and walk away. They assume they're just tiny, decorative birds with zero emotional depth. You look at your small companion and you think you know them. You probably think that when they take a piece of millet from your palm, it's just basic transactional hunger. You think their chirping is just random noise, a hollow echo responding to the TV or the fridge. But what if everything you thought you knew about your budgie was completely wrong? What if those subtle tilts of the head, those sudden flights right to your shoulder, and those weird little feeding gestures aren't just quirky habits? What if they're actually the unmistakable signs of a creature that is totally, hopelessly, biologically, head over heels in love with you? Most people completely miss how a budgie's emotional world actually works. We see a bird that's barely 7 inches long, and we subconsciously assume a smaller brain means a simpler emotional life. Society trains us to expect affection from large golden retrievers or needy cats, completely ignoring the miniature world happening right in front of us. Here's the thing. Budgies are flock animals. They're hardwired for survival through intense social synchronization. In the wild Australian outback, being isolated is literally a death sentence. Their entire nervous system is built to find a chosen partner and completely merge lives with them. So when a budgie gets brought into a human home, that powerful radar doesn't just turn off. It has to land somewhere, and it lands on you. Yet owners miss the signs every single day. They mistake frantic panic for playfulness. They confuse indifference with independence or aggressive nipping with pure malice. They don't realize that a budgie's love doesn't look like a dog's tail-wagging excitement. It looks like a terrifyingly intense surrender of wild survival instincts. When your budgie changes its routine to match yours, when it meticulously grooms your cuticles like you're part of its flock, or when it positions its tiny body as a physical shield between you and the scary outside world, that is a level of devotion that borders on obsessive. And the real tragedy? Millions of owners walk right past these profound declarations of love every single day, completely blind to the silent, feathered romance unfolding right in their own living room. Understanding this hidden language honestly changes everything about how you experience your daily life with your bird. Once you learn to decode these subtle behavioral shifts, your living room kind of stops being just a room with a cage. It transforms into a theater of real interspecies connection. You aren't just looking at a pet anymore. You start seeing an intelligent, feeling consciousness that has chosen you out of the entire universe to be its absolute safe haven. And here's what we are going to do. We are going to break down the exact, unmistakable markers of avian adoration. We're talking about everything from the micro habits of feather alignment all the way to the neurological markers of absolute trust. By the time you reach the end of this journey, you're going to look at your little companion with entirely new eyes. You'll realize you hold the entire emotional world of a magnificent, devoted creature right in the palm of your hand. If you have ever looked at your small feathered friend and wondered what is actually going on inside that tiny, brilliant head, take a quick second to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because honestly, the world of avian behavior holds secrets that will completely redefine how you look at pets forever. The first and most deceptively quiet sign of absolute devotion, it's this weird little thing called synchronized stillness. Picture it, a rainy Tuesday afternoon. The house is totally hushed, save for the steady patter of droplets against the glass. You're sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, maybe reading a book, or just staring blankly at a laptop screen. And across the room, your budgie is sitting on its perch or right there on the back of the sofa, just inches from your neck. Then, suddenly, all movement stops. The frantic preening ceases. The nervous head bobbing halts. The bird fluffs its feathers into a soft, round ball, tucks one tiny leg deep into its belly, and turns its head backward, burying its beak deep into its back. To an untrained observer, it just looks like a routine nap. But if you watch closely, you'll notice something extraordinary. The timing. Your budgie only enters this deep, vulnerable state of absolute sleep when you are entirely still. And here's what most people don't realize. In the wild, Sleep is literally the most dangerous moment in an animal's life. A resting budgie is an easy meal for a passing raptor. Yet your bird is choosing to close its eyes, drop its defensive guard, and drift into unconsciousness right next to you. This isn't just casual resting, it's an ultimate act of biological trust. The science behind this? It's pretty wild. Budgies are actually capable of unihemispheric sleep moaning. They can keep one eye open to scan for predators. But when they choose to tuck their heads completely away and close both eyes in your immediate physical presence, their brain chemistry is registering absolute, uncompromised safety. They have literally designated you as their living, breathing sanctuary. When your budgie naps beside you, it's essentially saying, I am putting my life in your hands because I know, with every fiber of my being, that you won't let anything happen to me. Next up is a behavior that tends to startle unsuspecting owners, that sudden, intense compulsion to groom your body as if you were made of feathers. You're just sitting there quietly and your budgie flies down, lands squarely on your thumb or forearm, and immediately begins this frantic, meticulous inspection. Its tiny needle-sharp beak sorts through the hairs on your arm, nibbles gently at your fingernails, or works over the skin of your knuckle. Honestly, people usually pull away. They laugh nervously or worry the bird is about to bite. But this is the exact opposite of aggression. This is the holy grail of budgie social hierarchy, holopraining. In the wild, budgies don't groom themselves alone. Social grooming is the ultimate currency of trust, pair bonding, and affection. When a budgie grooms another bird, it's repairing damaged feathers, removing hard sheaths, and cementing a lifelong emotional contract. So when your budgie turns that attention to your human skin and hair, it's committing the ultimate endearing category error. It looks at your hands, realizes you are completely devoid of feathers, and decides it is its sacred, non-negotiable duty to fix you. Every gentle nibble at your cuticle, every meticulous pass of the beak through your arm hair, it's a physical manifestation of deep, genuine devotion. It's your budgie looking at you and thinking, you're naked and unkempt, and I love you too much to let you face the world looking messy. It's an investment of time, energy, and vulnerable physical contact that a budgie will only ever reserve for the single most important individual in its entire universe. Sound is basically the lifeblood of a budgie ragar. Out there in the harsh Australian grasslands, their vocalizations span a massive spectrum from low-register contact calls echoing across miles of arid scrubland to frantic alarm screeches warning the whole flock of an approaching kestrel. But when a budgie falls head over heels in love with a human, that sound completely transforms. You start noticing a very specific kind of sound. It's the soft, continuous, incredibly complex warble that avian behaviorists call the love mutter or conversational chattering. And honestly, it's nothing like the loud, repetitive screeching a budgie throws out when it's hungry or bored in a neglected cage. This sound is melodic, breathless, rhythmic, and intensely personal. It often sounds like a miniature cascading waterfall of musical notes whispered right into your ear or directed at your cheek from just a few inches away. Scientifically speaking, this is basically the acoustic equivalent of human sweet talking. Male budgies, especially, are biologically driven to court their chosen mates through these continuous, elaborate musical performances. They're trying to show off their neurological fitness, their intelligence, and their emotional stability. So, when your budgie perches right on your shoulder and starts this soft, endless monologue while gently grinding its beak together, well, it's pouring its entire soul out to you. It doesn't care if you understand the literal translation of the notes. It just wants to bathe you in its vocal presence. It's weaving this acoustic blanket of absolute affection, using sound to claim you as its exclusive partner in a noisy, chaotic human world. The territorial anchor and boundary guard. Here's something that might surprise you about deep avian love: the way your budgie completely alters its geography around your living space. Most pets just have random areas where they hang out, but a bonded budgie, it treats your actual physical body as the center of gravity for the whole room. Just watch what happens when you move from the sofa to the kitchen, or when you stand up to walk across the floor. Does your budgie instantly launch from its perch, cutting through the air with a swift, whistling snap of wings just to land directly on your head or shoulder? That's not random flight, that's a deeply instinctual tracking response. In the wild, bonded pairs keep a strict proximity rule. They rarely allow more than a few inches of space between them, so they don't get separated from the flock when a predator rushes. So when your budgie shadows your every move, turning your shoulder into a mobile observation deck, it's acting on that ancient hardwired survival instinct. And look, it goes even deeper than mere shadowing. Notice how your budgie reacts when another person, a family pet, or an unfamiliar object enters your personal space. A budgie that's just indifferent to you will fly away or completely ignore the intrusion. But a budgie that is head over heels in love, it will puff up its body feathers, spread its wings slightly, lower its head, and let out a sharp, defensive chatter. It's literally trying to make itself look 10 times bigger to ward off any threat to its human. It becomes your tiny, fearless personal bodyguard. It looks at a hand reaching toward you, or a cat walking past your chair, and decides with absolute conviction that it has to stand between you and any potential danger. You know, maybe the most misunderstood sign of budgie affection is the regurgitation dance. Honestly, it can be a little shocking if you're not ready for it. You're just sitting there, and your budgie suddenly flies onto your knee. It starts bobbing its head up and down with this intense hypnotic rhythm, while its pupils rapidly pin with excitement. And then, to your utter horror, it opens its beak and brings up some seed or digested food, trying to deposit it right on your lips, your finger, or your favorite shirt. If you don't understand bird psychology, your natural reaction is pure disgust. You push the bird away, shuddering at the whole thing. But here's what most people don't realize. You need to pause and look at what just happened. You've been handed the highest, most sacred gift in the entire avian kingdom. In the wild, food is survival. A budgie doesn't share its food with just anyone. Regurgitation is how they court. A male feeds a female to prove he can provide, or bonded partners feed each other to reinforce their lifelong partnership. So when your budgie offers you the contents of its crop, it's not looking at you like a giant human keeper. It sees you as its chosen mate. It's literally depriving its own stomach to nourish you, turning a deep evolutionary survival impulse into a messy, beautiful gesture of supreme devotion. It is the ultimate sacrifice a bird can make, and it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that its heart belongs entirely to you. As you put all of these remarkable behaviors together, the synchronized sleep, the obsessive grooming, the midnight whisper warbles, the fused shoulder guarding, and that messy culinary sacrifice, a much larger picture starts to emerge. You realize you aren't just housing an animal. You're participating in an interspecies romance driven by millions of years of evolution. The intensity of this bond often catches people completely off guard. We're so used to thinking of love in human or mammalian terms, looking for warm fur, wet noses, and direct eye contact. But beneath those feathers is a nervous system operating at a breathtaking metabolic velocity. They feel every emotion at an amplitude we can barely comprehend. When a budgie loves, it loves with its entire existence. Its heart beats at over 500 beats per minute, pumping pure devotion through a tiny body that has decided against all odds to place its entire destiny into the hands of a creature 10,000 times its size. And this is where it gets heavy. Once you realize the sheer weight of this emotional investment, you start looking at every single chirp, every feather twitch, and every flight across the room with a profound sense of responsibility. You're not just a pet owner anymore. You're the emotional anchor of a tiny, brilliant soul. And then the ultimate realization hits you. Your budgie's entire life, with all its vibrant energy and complex social intelligence, is anchored entirely to your presence. Think about the sheer magnitude of that. A wild budgie navigates endless horizons and vast deserts, driven by a primal need to find safety and a lifelong partner. Your budgie took that ancient program, stripped away the Australian skies, and compressed the entirety of its universe down to the four walls of your room and the contours of your body. When you walk into a room and watch that electrifying spark of joy ignite in its obsidian eyes, when you see the feathers slick back, the wings twitch with anticipation, and the little body launch itself off the perch like a guided missile straight toward your chest, you are witnessing a miracle. It is the complete, unconditional surrender of a prey animal's deepest survival instincts, traded willingly for the warmth of your skin and the sound of your voice. In that single, breathtaking moment when tiny claws grip your collar, the barrier between human and animal just dissolves. And you're left with a pure, unadulterated truth. Your budgie isn't just fond of you. It isn't just used to you or looking for food. It is, in every sense that matters, head over heels, irrevocably in love with you. We started this journey looking at a seemingly ordinary bird in a cage, honestly wondering if there was any real depth behind those bright, unblinking eyes. We wondered if the chirps were just noise, if the actions were just reflex, and if the smallness of the creature meant a simplicity of heart. But now, sitting quietly in that same room as the evening shadows stretch across the floor, everything looks entirely different. You glance over and see your little companion tucked against your shoulder, breathing softly, completely at peace in a world that should otherwise terrify it. The mystery is solved, but the wonder remains untouched. You realize that the greatest magic in the world isn't found in grand, sweeping spectacles. No, this is the part people miss. It lives in the quiet, microscopic moments of trust shared between two entirely different species who somehow manage to find a common language of love across an evolutionary divide. What is the single most surprising thing your budgie does that makes you suspect it is completely in love with you? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one.